guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs Bristol City match review. So I know I did say in the preview to this game that I might not, or at least it wasn't likely that I was going to be able to get a review out because I didn't think I'd be able to watch the game, but I did manage to sneakily watch the game whilst at work, and whether that was fortunate or unfortunate, I'll let you guys decide. But before getting into it, as usual, if you can hit the like button for me, it's massively appreciated. There's so many of you guys as well that's not subscribed at the minute, but you're watching regularly. It is always massively appreciated, and it absolutely gives me motivation to continue making these videos for you guys. But getting into the video, I do also want to just say that the first half, it's going to sound like I'm just bitching and moaning about maybe the referee decisions and shit like that, but in the second half, I'm absolutely going to be giving a lot of credit to Bristol City, so please don't listen to the first half and think that this is the way the whole review is going to go, because it's not. But in the first half, we'll start with the starting 11. Luke O'Nien, as I did allude to in the preview, it was rumoured, or at least Regis Labrie did say in the pre-match presser that Luke O'Nien, he hasn't been so good. They've been playing, I think it was both Patrick Roberts, possibly even Rigg, and Luke O'Nien, all played whilst under the weather in the previous game against Stoke City. But he did say that Luke O'Nien still isn't quite 100%, so it was kind of hit and miss. So I wasn't surprised when I saw it was Mepham and Dan Ballard in the middle of defence. You had Hume right back, Alessi at left back. Then you had Mayenda starting on the right-hand side, which was quite excited to see, despite Roberts having a good game prior. But I thought he's probably dropped into the bench because he hasn't been so good either. Watson on the left-hand side, and then you have the usual trio in the middle of Dan Neil, Job, and Chris Rigg, and up top you had Isidore. So getting into the game, and to be fair, the opening sort of 20 minutes, I think Bristol City, they almost set up shop a little bit, not totally in entirely sort of parking the bus or what have you, because they did have a handful of strays forward. I think they had one real chance in the first half where Watson runs straight into danger on the edge of his own box, and then it's been nicked off him, and then they've just hit it hard and low, pretty much straight at Patterson, and then it's a simple save in the end, really. But still, that was the only real chance they made. But other than that, I generally thought, in the way that the game was going, that it was only simply a matter of time before we were going to score. Again, we didn't make anywhere near as many sort of clear-cut chances as we did against Stoke City, but there was still more than enough opportunities. Again, with Watson cutting in, Mayenda was absolutely doing their right back like there's no tomorrow. He just tearing him anew on getting down to the byline, fizzing it across goal, and was absolutely guilty of trying to walk the ball in the back of the net. There was, times where we've got it around 8-9 yards away, rather than shooting, we're trying to do little passes and back heels, and it's just, we're screaming to shoot, and then by the time we do eventually shoot, we're crowded out, and that was kind of the way it went. But that happened so many times. A ball, I think it was Leslie, gets the ball in, great chance for Isidore, and he heads it, and it's a bit too close to the keeper. He makes the save. Like I said, little half chances here and there, but not really testing the keeper enough. Plenty of shots off target, but that was really it. And then one opportunity where we did break down the right-hand side, did brilliant football again by Mayenda. It was excellent on the right-hand side. I keep on saying he looked infinitely better on the right, which we're going to get into. He's driving down the right-hand side. He cuts it back. I think it's Rigg. He flicks it back for Watson, and just as he strikes the ball, to be fair to the defender, it's a great block, but the follow-through is very, very heavy on Watson. And then he stayed down pretty much, and he couldn't continue, and that's about 25 minutes into the game. And I said up until that point, it felt like it was only really a matter of time before we did break the deadlock. But Watson had to come off, and then we brought Paddy Roberts on. Now, for me, that was a bit of a double whammy, and this is why I was going to allude. That's why I alluded to Mayenda earlier, because what we had to do with that is, one, you bring the Watson off, who was looking really, really dangerous. So that's one bad thing, and then you have to accommodate Paddy Roberts, who's obviously a good player. But now you have to shift Mayenda, who's good on the right-hand side, but he's awful on the left. And not awful is probably a bit much. I've seen a lot of people give him so much grief, and I think probably went a little bit overboard with his performance on the left. But I totally agree, he is infinitely better on the right. He looks so uncomfortable on the left. Positionally, he's all over the place. So sometimes he doesn't know where to place himself, and he seems sort of wandering astray, and he doesn't know where to place himself on the left, which isn't his fault, because if you're so used to one side, if you're going to play on the wing at all, if you're stuck to one side, it just feels totally different, and you can't cut in the way you would usually do, and he likes to get down to the byline on that right-hand side, and he can cut in if he wants to, and he's just very unsure of himself, and he looks a little bit like a lost sheep. And when Alessi isn't having the best of games either on the left-hand side, it makes it a nightmare. And so it was a bit of a double whammy for us, like I say, with Watson gone and then having to make Mayenda move over to the other side. And it made things very, very difficult. But yeah, we continued for the remainder of the half, pretty much just getting it to the byline, pulling it back, and just so many nearly moments I thought it's just a matter of time, as I say. But, and this is where the referee's going to come in, we had what I believe to be an absolute stone wall of a penalty. And one of these games, you know, when things aren't quite falling for you, and like I said, we are trying to essentially walk the ball in the back of the net. Sometimes you just want that bit of rub of the green, and you need that rub of the green, but the referee is an absolute howler, and he was having a torrid game anyway. He was Bristol City's best player in that first half. Just all the little niggly things he was totally missing, and giving them things to halt attacks, and he was just absolutely shite. But unless he manages to get down to the byline, he does really, really well. And then his name eludes me, but he gets nothing of the ball, and you see him give him week in, week out. Puts his leg across him, brings him to the ground. It's none of the ball. It's absolutely clear cut, clear as day, and then he gives a free kick to Bristol City. Makes absolutely fucking no sense whatsoever, and I'm tearing my hair out at this point. It was absolute madness how it wasn't given, and then not just that, but then he's given a free kick the other way. It was just absolute bollocks. And the thing is, and there's so many people who were saying that, you know, if it was anywhere else in the pitch, it would have been a free kick. So why does he give it the other way then? It makes no sense to me. Absolutely no sense. It was absolute stonewaller. So yeah, we've made the chances, or half chances. We looked the better side in the first half without being clinical at all. And of course, we've had to put up with shite refereeing and of course Watson going off and my end changing. So that does change things. But second half comes out, and this is where I am going to give a bit of stick to Regis Labrie and a lot of praise to Bristol City and Liam Manning, because what they did at half time, he's obviously analysed, he's got them inside, he's got them together at half time, rejigged it, he's changed the system to a 3 at the back, which historically we've struggled against anyway, so that's a good tactical move from Liam Manning. And then he's up the tempo and the press as well, and they were fantastic. We come out sluggish, slow, can't string a pass together, and this is without me giving us our players too much shit. I want to give praise to Bristol City, because they did play that game very, very well, and they made it difficult. But you think after sort of 5-10 minutes we'd get used to what they're doing, so come on now. But then 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, 30 minutes, and you can see that we're just rapidly declining. We couldn't string a pass together. Job, which is something I've said recently, I think since that suspension he hasn't been great, but he's just doing that thing, and when he gets the ball, and in the commentators that were pissing me off for the majority of the evening, but they were actually bang on with Job, like, it was just constantly would not release the ball when it's just so blatantly obvious. You're screaming at him to give it, and he holds on, and when there's players in front of him, he'll turn around and start running backwards, and he'll try and take on players again. And he's running a circle, a lap around the sort of middle third of the pitch of Bristol City players. Chasing him, don't get me wrong, he's not losing possession, but he's running in circles, and we're making no progress. Everyone's just like, what the fuck are you doing? And he just loves the physical sort of, he likes to battle and try to wriggle in between tight areas, but give the ball, do you know what I mean? And I'm screaming, I'm tearing my hair out more watching Job in that second half than I am with the referee in the first. Do you know what I mean? Just release the ball. It's just running in circles, refusing, just absolutely downright refusing. And like I said, the commentators, one of them was saying, you know, that I look good on his YouTube compilations because he just basically ran a fucking circle and made absolutely zero progress before eventually, 30 seconds later, released the ball when he should have done it miles before. But the other one was saying, to be fair, he said he had 4 chances to pass the ball then and didn't. And it would have been a good opportunity as well. So I actually agreed with that commentator for a change. But either way, yeah, Regis Labrie in recent weeks, and I've been saying this a lot, win, lose or draw, his reluctance to make it changes. When particularly in the first few games, he was good at doing that. There was times he'd make changes like the 50th minute if he saw something was wrong, and I like that. But in recent weeks, so the last sort of month or two, he is so unbelievably stubborn. You can see right in front of our eyes that the players are rapidly declining. Some are shattered. You just need to change something. Anything. Something's got to give. You need to give them something different to think about. Be it a tactical change or bring in another player. Anything. And he waited and waited. And everyone can see it. Everyone in the grandma can see it. Do you know what I mean? That something needs to change. And he's waited and waited and waited for us to concede. And the second we concede, he makes the change. Brings Sirkin on. Do you know what I mean? What's mad about that is that's the earliest change he's made in weeks. And he's only done it whilst he's reacting to something. You need to be proactive, which is exactly what Liam Manning was at half time. And that's the only time he changed it. He changed it, and then it started to a little bit better. Sirkin helped Mayenda on that left-hand side. And we're plugging away a little bit. It wasn't pretty at all. And then the last sort of 5 minutes or so, we're really throwing the kitchen sink at it. And Paddy Roberts, sorry, pardon me, I have to give it to him. You know, he struggled. of course, he has a lot of sort of goal contributions and contributes towards the attack, but as we've said for weeks and a long time now, his output in terms of like goals has been horrendous for a player of his ability. But we bring on Adil Al-Shish, right? And he brings him on for final sort of, what was it, 15, 10 minutes or whatever it was, and he looked really, really good. Really decent. I've seen some people go a little bit overboard in terms of he needs to be starting, he needs to do this. I think because he had a good 10-minute cameo, we can't be throwing him in the starting 11 for me anyway. I understand. I think Rig needs a rest. I think players do need a rest, but I still don't trust Adil Al-Shish from the off. I think he is better coming off the bench, and then that kind of contradicts because I do say that Rig needs a rest. But we've seen it before when I've spoken about Adil Al-Shish like in the past. When he comes off the bench and he has a good cameo, and then the next time we'll give him a start and he looks shit. And he was missing. Adil Al-Shish always seems to perform when he has something to prove. So we're coming on for the last 10 minutes of the game when we're chasing a game. He looks good, and that's when his ability comes to fruition. It comes to the forefront. Whereas when we're starting from the off, he's just kind of like, oh, I've done my bit now. I've got my start. And he always seems shit. He always seems really bad from the start. So I don't know. Again, I feel like Rig absolutely needs a rest, possibly even Joe. But I think Rig more than anyone. But as I was going to say anyway, Adil Al-Shish works it on the left hand side really, really well. Pulls it back to Paddy Roberts on the left hand side, tight angle, and he just thumped it into the roof of the net to make it 1-1. So at the very least, we didn't lose, and that's the only positive I can come away from that game is we got ourselves a point after playing piss poor, and Paddy Roberts got amongst the goals, or at least he got himself a goal, which I'm very, very happy with. But yeah, lessons to be learned. Again, at least we didn't lose. I think last season we probably would have lost that game, maybe even shipped to second. I think the defending for the goal we conceded was laughable, and I've seen a lot of people say this online, and I absolutely agree. And I'm not just saying this because I'm obviously a big fan of Luke O'Nien, and I think rightly so. I don't think we concede that goal with Luke O'Nien there. I think he manages it a lot better. I think he's quicker off the ball, and also we have that ability to play out from the back in terms of the centre back actually bringing us. Or at least bringing the ball and carrying the ball into the opposition half and making the opposition midfielders or strikers commit, so which gives us spaces. Whereas Mepham, he did play a good 2 or 3 very good diagonal balls, but it's not quite the same as Luke O'Nien, who can guide the ball forward, and we missed him a hell of a lot. And I think a lot of people starting to see how much he brings to the side. Of course, I know that he can be a liability in certain areas. He does the odd daft thing here and there, but we 100% missed him yesterday. There was just a huge dynamic of the side that was missing. But yeah, so a few things didn't quite go our way in terms of Watson getting injured. I'm hoping it's just an impact injury. That's what it looked like, which might just be a few days, a bit of bruising and stuff like that. Maybe he might miss out at the weekend. I'm not too sure, but I am hoping it is only a few days and it's only something minor. But yeah, I'm not going to get too pissed off. There are some positives. There's a lot to learn. We didn't lose. But yeah, it's just one of them. It'd be interesting to see what you guys think down below. It's frustrating, but we need to hit the drawing board again. And I think my ender, it'd be interesting to see what he does with Isidore as well, because Isidore for me yesterday, he was embarrassing with how softly and how weak, how soft he was going to ground. With any tiny bit of contact, he was throwing himself to the ground, which he's done a handful of times anyway. But yesterday was just a piss take, and I really like Isidore, and I've said that a million times. I say it online on social media all the time. I'm a big fan of his. He's a quality player. But every time, they've got a big brick shithouse at the back, a big strong lad, and I love a 50-50 challenging. The amount of times where we did actually play him through, and if he just stayed on his feet, maybe wrestled with him a little bit, he would have been through on goal. And all he have to do is just keep on running. But the second he gets even minor contact, throws himself to the ground, flopping hands in the air, just get up, you fucking pussy. Do you know what I mean? Like, get up, man. And it was doing mine nothing. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next time out. Anyway, maybe it'd be interesting to see Maenda going down the middle. Connolly maybe. Will Al-Shish start on the wing on the left-hand side if Watson's still got a knock? I don't know. But I just don't want Maenda on that left-hand side. Of course, I've briefly spoke about Rig needing a break maybe, because there were a few times with Rig. I don't think it was utterly horrendous. It was just, I think once he gets that one nutmeg in the game, something like that, he feels like he has to do it every time he gets the ball. And there was one time where it got pulled back to him. Again, it was one of them where players just queuing up in the box, and it did happen a few times. And they were just putting, to their credit, putting bodies on the line, getting block after block after block. But there was one point where it did get pulled back to Chris Rigg, and all they had to do was, because it wasn't a pacey ball in, it got pulled back to him, maybe 8 yards out, maybe 7, possibly even 6. But all they had to do was just take one step back and put your foot through it. But instead, he stood forward and then go to try and backheel it in, and it's just blocked. And it's like, why? Why would you do that? I know you're trying to get something on your compilation reel, mate, and I know that you're only a young lad, and obviously experience will come in time. But that was just stupidity for me, regardless of how old you are. Just put the ball in the back of the net instead of fucking around. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and moan too much. We come away with the point. Bristol City were very good in that second half. Fair play to them. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you guys think anyway. So let me know in the comments down below. But if you've enjoyed, hit the like button for me. It'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new. But for now, take care, stay jammy, and away the lads.